Today, we have Nicole Tanner, who is the founder of Swig, one of the fastest growing, probably the fastest growing soda and treat shops in the country. Nicole started Swig in 2010 with its first location in St. George, Utah, and eventually grew the brand to 16 locations before partnering with 4 Foods Group in 2017, now known as Savory Fund, to grow Swig to over 40 locations in Utah, Arizona, Idaho, Oklahoma, and Texas. In November of 2022, Larry H. Miller Company acquired a majority stake in Swig, with Savory Fund and Nicole maintaining stakes in the business. Nicole has been featured in dozens of articles for her success, including being named Marketer of the Year from Business Q magazine. Nicole has 5 children, is a breast cancer survivor, and enjoys the outdoors. So thank you for being here. Hopefully I got that right.
You did. Add 4 grandchildren in there.
Add 4 grandchildren.
And they are what matters. I tell my kids matter, but the grandma life is a good life.
It's a good life.
Yeah. And we now have 48 locations.
48. Okay.
Yeah. So we're almost at 50, which will be a big milestone for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But you did great. That was awesome.
Good. Glad I covered it. Well, thank you for being here, Nicole. I'm so excited because Swig is such an awesome brand, household name, obviously here in Utah and beyond. We spend way too much money in our household at Swig. And so, it's so cool to have you on the show and feel very privileged to be here with you. The first question I usually ask my guests, Nicole, is just to talk a little about your upbringing, your background, maybe childhood or teenage years to help us get an understanding of who you are today. Yeah.
So I grew up in beautiful Teton Valley, Idaho, Driggs, Idaho. It was a very well-kept secret back in the day. The secret's out. And a lot of people now love to go to Teton Valley, and whether it's for skiing, snowboarding, hiking, just to get away from everything, it's in front of the beautiful Grand Tetons. So I grew up there and didn't know how lucky I was until I moved away. But grew up on a farm. My dad was a dairy farmer, and he also had hay and barley and potatoes. He was a seminary teacher for our church. So I was the 5th of 8 children, and an amazing place to grow up. Amazing parents, amazing siblings. We all had to participate and help and work on the farm. The farm life is a hard life, but it's a good life, and it teaches you how to work. And I don't quit until the job's done, because you can't. You have to, those cows need milked morning and night, and whether you like it or not. So just learn how to work, but learned how to love nature and be in the outdoors. And so that Teton Valley is my heaven on earth. It's my escape. It's where I go to ground myself. I love it. So that's where I was raised. Graduated from a small high school class of 56 people.
Wow.
There's
56.
more. I know, 56 people. It was a very small high school, Teton High School. And I did lots of sports, because you can when there's not a lot of people participating. So I did basketball and drill team and cheerleading, and was on the student body council. Just was very involved, loved my upbringing.
That's great.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure working with your hands on a farm just day after day taught you a lot of lessons in terms of just endurance and perseverance and hard work. In general.
And at the time you don't realize it, right? You're just doing the job, and at times you hate it, and, but you just keep going. No, I think it really instilled in me a love, really, of good hard work and accomplishment at the end of the day when you've finished your job.
That's great. Yeah. And I worry for my generation, my kids, I think, man, we just live in the classic, like, cookie cutter suburban, Lehigh. And it's like, man, how awesome would it be to live on a farm or have those experiences? So you got to find alternatives, right? But
you do. So my dad has sold pretty much all of it now. There's about 40 acres that he still has his house on, our house. And but for years before that, when my kids were younger, I'm like, okay, Dad, can I just send my kids up to you for the summer and just let them work? But they love to go up there too, because it's just that, wide open spaces and 4-wheelers and all the good stuff, motorcycles. And Yeah. So it's
fun.
so fun.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, from graduating high school, did you have a stint at BYU Idaho or college, and then kind of take us kind of from there?
Yeah. So I went 45 minutes away to Rexburg, Idaho, to what was then Ricks College, now BYU Idaho, and got my associate's degree in administrative assistant, basically a secretary. And I knew shorthand back in the day. That is a lost art. I know maybe 5 words now, but got a job down here after graduating in Utah Valley at a place called Dynex. And Dynex automated all the library systems back in the day. This was 1991, 92. And I was the administrative assistant for the head of marketing. And it was a great job. It was a great job right out of college. And it gave me a good foothold for kind of a career. I got married right after that and started having babies, and did not work past that until Swig came to be. Let's see. So that was 93 when my first daughter was born, and then started Swig in 2010. So I don't know how many years that is. Yeah.
So just full-time mom in the thick of
I didn't plan on working. And we had moved to St. George, Utah, and wanted to start a business and just didn't really know what to do. We love St. George. We lived there for back in the college days for a couple of years and loved it. And everybody loves St. George. It's your vacation spot, right? So to live in your vacation spot is a dream. And we go to Sonic all of the time to get a Diet Coke with lime and the good Pebble Ice and the good foam cup, and just really realize that there's something missing in this experience as I come through this drive-through line, and I feel kind of like a number, maybe not, super appreciated by that business owner. And I get that, there's tons of customers coming through every day, but I knew that people wanted to be made to feel known, like they mattered to that business. And also sometimes the lines were long, and because people were ordering food or your cups were like greasy or smelled like onions or whatever. I just knew that there was something missing in that experience. And if you didn't want to wait in line in a drive-through, your only other option was to get out of your car, which in St. George is like hot. So you turn off your AC, unbuckle all your kids, take my 5 kids into a gas station, which is risky as heck because they're going to come out with all the treats. So I was just like, I would appreciate that as a mom, of being able to go through a drive-through line and get my drink fix, whatever that may be, but also have it be fast and have it be really good customer service to where that customer feels important. And it is the best part of their day. I want people to come through our lines and feel like they matter, but then it's the best part of their day. Because we see them as people, we see them, we know them, we love them, we know their name, we know their drink. They mean something to us. And I did not see anything else out there like that. That was just like drinks and maybe a treat that was fast, get your drink and get out, but make it a superior drink. And so started it.
That's great. Yeah, I agree. I feel like Swig has become a ritual for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's their thing they do every day. It's probably the most exciting, or one of the most exciting, or just like little things that gives them joy every day to go through that drive-through, get a drink, and just start their day off. So agree. You saw a niche, an idea, and sounds like you did. I mean, you've obviously executed incredibly well on it. So yeah, I'd love to dive in there, Nicole.
Yeah.
From you guys have that vision, you're going to Sonic, like we could do this better. So how did it roll out from there? How did you start the first store?
So the trick was finding a place, a building. Well, first, let's just go back to kind of the name of it. We looked in the name, in the thesaurus under the word drink, and there's like 50 plus words for drink in the thesaurus. And the minute that we came to Swig, I was like, stop. That is it. Like, can I have a swig of your drink? It's one word. It's clean. It's concise. Like, it just fit. Yeah. And so we had our name. We had a guy down in St. George who drew for Disney. And we went to him for our logo and what is he was the Swig guy. We never named him. We should have named him, but he was like our mascot. But we came up with our logo and our design and all of that from him. He helped us design it. And then we found our building, which was this old rundown, literally 600 square foot building right there by Dixie College, now Utah Tech in St. George. And it was this huge parking lot. So the building was run down, but the parking lot was huge. So what do I see in my head? Lines of cars being able to line up there and squeeze as many as we can in and out. So that was the vision right there. And so the building, like I said, was old. It needed a lot of TLC. We fixed it up all on our own. Again, that good old hard work. Had our kids come in and help us fix it up as well. And literally on a wing and a prayer, opened it up April 2nd, 2010. So we're coming up on our 13th birthday, which is really cool. But I think a lot of people thought we were crazy because everybody sells fountain drinks. Everybody. Right. And so we had to make it special, like, we wanted to. But everybody wants their business to be special, but we really had to nail it. And, but honestly, all we had to do was just treat that customer and that business how we would want to be treated. And I think too oftentimes, entrepreneurs or people starting a business, they overthink it. Just what do you want when you go to an establishment, or what do you feel like is missing out there? And then fill that need. Don't think you have to have the best and the biggest and everything. You don't. You just need to start. You just need to find that building, find that idea. And then it's not going to be perfect because you don't know. You've never done it. You just have to start and then treat it like you would want someone to treat it, right? Like do it how you would appreciate it if you were that customer coming through. And then it will naturally, authentically be received. We weren't faking it. We were just trying to do the best we can in there. And, but I think people really thought we were crazy because how do you make money off of selling fountain drinks? Right. Just fountain drinks.
Yeah. Just fountain. And to your point, it's very saturated. Like Maverick, 7-Eleven, right? Yeah. Everyone has the same offering, but you guys have done it in a way that it's really unique in the flavors, in the branding, in the drive-through component, and just the overall customer experience. And I like how you're hitting so hard on that because I do feel that difference going to Swig versus just walking in Maverick, right? It's like it's just a different level of customer satisfaction experience. So.
It really is. We've kind of upped that level, right, of that experience as you come through. We are more than a drink. You're not just going because you're thirsty. I mean, you are, and you want a great beverage, but you're going because of the experience and how you feel on that line. And hopefully it is the best part of your day. I can preach that all day long. It is more than a drink from, all of the other things we're doing now. But, and it started off more than a drink though, too. I think people think, well, yeah, now you've evolved into that. That was from the beginning. That was the vision of, we want to be there for our customers.
That's great.
We want to see them, know them, love them.
That's great. That's awesome. So this is 2010. You got your hands full with kids. You guys have a growing family. So how old were you about at that time? So 2010.
Yeah. So 2010, I was 40. Yeah.
Okay. Around 40.
40. Yeah. I was 40.
Okay.
Actually,
awesome.
I was 39. Sorry. I was 39.
Okay. Well, that's, I think like to that point, and not to say that that's old at all, right?
It's old to start a business.
Yeah. Well,
start all over.
I think people, and I get this too. I'm 30, but I feel like the generation today, it's like if you don't have a business that's printing money by 23, or 3 Airbnbs or a bunch of rental properties by some age, people get so stressed out about like an age and where you are by a certain age. And again, 39 is very young, and you're still very young today. But it's just, I think that's a good point. Say, you know what, you're almost 40 and you're starting a business, and just 13 short years later, I mean, it's just crazy to see the growth. So I don't know. I think it
is. It really is. And again, don't feel like you have to have it all at once, right? We just wanted one store to work. Did we know that it was going to go to where it's at now? Did we hope and dream and pray for that? Of course. But just start wherever you are. Just start. If you're 50, 60, 25, just start. But start slow and steady wins the race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So don't try to conquer the world all at once.
That's great advice.
It needs to be authentic and slow and steady. And that's how you get to where you want to go. If you're going too fast, you're going to burn out. And in the restaurant industry, you can burn out even if you're going slow and steady. It's a tough one. It's like a dairy farm. You are married to it. You are in it day in, day out. And those who are not in it day in and day out, it's just not as authentically received. Your culture isn't as good because they aren't seeing you. Your team members aren't seeing you. Your customers aren't seeing you. And that was one of my fears as we grew was I'm not going to see my customers. I'm not going to see my team members, but I had to step out of that place. And it'd been 3 to 4 years. So I had built a strong foundation of this is who we are. This is our culture. This is how we treat our customers. This is how we like our drinks. So I built a strong foundation to where I could step away and find somebody who cared like I cared and put them in that role as manager of those stores. So I could grow it. But if I would have gone too fast, I wouldn't have been able to set that groundwork.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's like you can't build a skyscraper without a solid foundation, right?
No.
And if you try to do that, it's gonna crumble.
Yep.
And so, I think that's really great advice, Nicole. So on the first store, how did you guys? Was it just funded by savings? I mean, it sounds like it was about 600 square feet. I mean, how much did you have to put into the store? Was it just savings you guys had scrapped together?
We did not do a business loan.
Okay.
We did not have a business plan. It was like, we want to create this because we would appreciate it. I mean, it was our savings.
Yeah.
We put probably, $20,000 into it, if that.
Yeah.
And was very literally Costco cash registers, like simple took orders on sticky notes. We did not have a point of sale. We did not know what we were doing. But I think honestly, it was maybe better that way. We would talk to some people and get advice, right? We had an accountant who handled our books. But other than that, it was just all us. And a funny story, because before I feel like we existed, Coke and Pepsi did not like to be in the same building. They didn't play well together. They were competition for each other, and they still are. But so when we knew we needed Coke because I'm a Diet Coke drinker, but we also needed like the Pepsi products for Mountain Dew and Pepsi.
Yeah.
So when we first started, we went to Coke and Pepsi bottlers there in St. George, and Coke was like, totally, we'll come in. But when Pepsi found out the Coke was going to be in, they're like, no, we can't be in the same space. We're like, oh, that's a shame because, we really have big dreams for this and we really want you in there. So we just kept talking to them. We finally were like, we just have to open the doors. We just are ready. So we opened our doors with our 2 Coke machines and no Pepsi machine, but envisioned, okay, they're going to come around hopefully, but we had to open. So we were literally pouring 2-liter bottles of Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew into cups. And within the first couple weeks, so there was a gentleman that was sitting out on our front porch of the original Swig, and he's drinking I can't remember if it was Pepsi or Mountain Dew, but opened the window and we're like, how's your drink? And that's back when we had a break between cars and we could talk to them out front. And he's like, this is the best Mountain Dew I've ever had. I'm like, you don't know that. I just poured that from a 2-liter bottle. Right. But it was because of how it was served. It's because of how he felt in that moment. Pepsi came around a month later. They joined. And now there's Pepsi and Coke in all of our buildings and all of our stores. And now all of the competition does the same thing. So we kind of started something. Again, I didn't plan on that. It was just like, we need you, Pepsi. We hope that you'll join us. And then they did. Yeah. So just things like that you're kind of just flowing with it. You just don't, it's not going to go perfect. Did we want Pepsi in the room we opened? Of course. We finally got them. We started with shaved ice because we kind of wanted it to be like a Hawaii kind of surfer laid back kind of a feel. So we had just been to Hawaii with our kids and wanted shaved ice. The shaved ice machine was a pain in the butt. It was, you had to have the ice perfect. We weren't great at it. And so about 5 years later, probably about store 10, we got rid of them. It was slowing down our line. It was taking us away from our core. So it was slowing down our line. The product wasn't great. And I felt bad handing it to moms, this big snowy mess. And then trying to hand it to their kids. I'm like, that is not going to end well. So things like that, like try it. If it's not working for you, if it goes against like the cores of who you are, take it off the menu. Don't be afraid to pivot, because you can get stuck in your ideas. You can get in your own way of growth if you allow it.
That's so good. That's a theme that I've heard over and over again as I've done this podcast is being willing to pivot. When things don't work, when you're hitting a wall over and over again, like failure will tell you what is your best feedback.
Yes.
You know, if it's not working, then you got to change something.
You got to change it. And that's okay. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. You can make mistakes, and you will, but then pivot and do something different.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
So you opened the doors to the first store. You kind of touched on this, but how did it go? I mean, was it just gangbusters? It take some time?
It took a little bit of time, but honestly, not that long.
Okay.
We would go when we first opened. And the only advertising we did was I put flyers on a bunch of the cars in St. George, and we did dollar drinks for about a month or two. Mm-hmm. And then I went to an expo down in St. George called What Women Want for 2 years. I did it in the spring, and then I did it in the fall. And I just had a swig bar of just who we were. And by the next year, I was like, I don't have time for that. We were too busy. So I would say within about 6 months, it was starting to catch on. We had our regulars. We had people from out of town who were driving through, and we're like, from California up to Provo, whatever. And they're like, we've heard about you. We want to come see what this is. So totally by year one, we're like, this is actually working.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because you're just kind of grinding it out, right? Yeah. Like you're just day in, day out, making it, doing the very best you can. And then before you know it, you're like, our sales are going up and up and up, and we're having to hire more people. And again, it was organic, but within a year, it was coming along. And by year 2, we had cars wrapped around the building. And we're like, okay, let's find building number 2. I guess we can have 2. Yeah. I guess we'll have 2 of these. So we found a building exactly a mile away. Some people would have been like, why would you build them so close together? Mm-hmm. But it was really to relieve the lines that now were at Swig 1. We called it Swig 1 back in the day. Once we got to store 12, we're like, we can't number these anymore. We're losing track. But so that was Swig 1. And then we opened Swig number 2 on the boulevard of St. George, a mile away, spring break, March of 2013. So almost 3 years later.
Got it.
But we found that building, fixed it up. It was an old malt shop that had gone under foreclosure. So we actually bought the building, and then we fixed it all up on our own.
Got it. So, and just from the proceeds and profit from the first store, we were able to kind of just recycle it in. Yep. And is that how you grew? So from 2010 to 2017, you grew about 16, 17 stores. Yeah. Was it just snowballing one into the next? We brought on partners the summer of 2013. Okay. We'd received some statewide publicity from a TV station, KUTV2 News, came down and surprised us for a spring break. Just showed up and said, we want to do a piece on Swig and the popularity of it, and showed lines around the corner and said that we were the place to hit for spring breakers. And so it kind of blew us out of the water. So everybody that was coming down for a spring break wanted to hit Swig. So we had some partners approach us, some people that wanted to partner in the summer of 2013. And they basically just brought in some capital so that we could expand, not so much location-wise, but like procedures. Like they brought in like a consultant, and it did bring in a little bit of capital to where I could pull myself away from store 1 and store 2 and hire people to go in those spots. But really the growth was just kind of like folding back over into, like, we didn't take dividends. It was still just like, okay, we had a decent paycheck, and then we just kind of rolled it back over as we grew, planning for the end game at some point. Like at this point, we're like, okay, people are liking this. Yeah. We're hearing people from all over saying, have you been to Swig? And open one up in northern Utah, and open one in California, and open one in Arizona. And people were asking, do you franchise? And at that point, you're like, is this real? So it's really cool. And the partners gave us, just some stability and some help that way.
but they weren't restaurant partners.
Okay.
So then in 2017, we'd grown to 16 or 17 locations. And we had from like Logan, then we had one down in Gilbert, Arizona that we'd branched way out there to open up. But we were deciding on, do we franchise or do we not? There was already competition at that point. That started in 2013.
Really?
And they were taking ground that we wanted. So we, in 2016, started going down the franchise route, thinking, all right, let's get the legal work done. Because obviously we felt like we just had to do it, even though we didn't feel good about it. So we got the legal, like 90% of the legal work done. And we just were like, oh, it doesn't feel right. Franchising, if you're not ready for it, it can eat you up. It will ruin your brand because, the franchisees can kind of do a little bit what they want. And you just think, oh, I want to grow fast. But again, it's slow and steady. And if you're not ready for something, don't do it because you could destroy your brand. So we put a pause. And it was about 8 months. And I just kept praying for the right partners to come around. We had great partners, but they just didn't know restaurant world, right? And at that point, we needed that. We needed like systems in place to scale that were on the restaurant front. You can only grow it so far if you don't have that experience. So I just kept praying for the right partners to come around. And seriously, Divine Design got introduced to Andrew Smith at 4 Foods Group, now Savory. And it was mainly just because I knew that he'd grow Kneaders and I wanted to see what his suggestions were to grow Swig and would you franchise?
Yeah. That's
why I went to him. And it was a 2-hour conversation. He knew about Swig, loved it. He didn't look at his phone once. And at the end of it, he said, don't franchise. You're not ready for it. It'll ruin your brand, just like what we were feeling. And he said, I would love to partner with you. I have this newish company that I'm building that we buy emerging restaurant brands that have 2, 3, 4. We're the largest that they've ever partnered with at 16. They don't like to do 16 because you're already kind of in the mode. And then they scale them and grow them. And so he's like, I'd love to partner with you though. And it just felt right from the start. Whereas we'd met with some other capital investors. I was like, we don't need the capital. We need experience. We need people to come in and help us, get this to where it needs to go, where it deserves to go. I've always felt like Swig deserves to go everywhere. Everybody needs a Swig. Right?
That's right.
Every town, every city needs a Swig. So, we partnered in December of 2017 and refined a bunch of we redid the logo, which at first, again, I could have gotten my way and I don't know. Cause I was scared of will my customers that I love and have been with us for, 7 years at this point, will they still resonate that this is their Swig? Yeah. I want my customers to feel like they almost own stock in Swig, right? Yeah. That it's their store. And I just thought if we change up this brand and the Swig guy goes away, will they still feel like it's theirs? Will they still come? And I just have to trust in my new partners of no, we need to clean it up. It needs to be a fresher, clean look that can travel outside of Utah into other regions. And now I love it. Yeah. But I could have been super stubborn and said, no, I don't want to do that. And now I'm so glad we did that because I think it really helped the brand.
That's great. And to your point about capital, for entrepreneurs or people raising money, it is really important to bring in somebody who can be a strategic partner as opposed to just throwing money at you. Because I think there's a lot of groups that just want to throw money at groups. But when you can have a partner who's going to help you grow and think through the things that you just fill gaps that you're not aware of, it makes a huge difference. And sounds like Andrew and his team did that for you guys.
It's huge. They took on a lot of the heavy lifting. They really did. They came in and took on marketing, payroll, site development, site maintenance. Yeah. So many things.
That's great.
So it was great. We had a great brand, but our back end was kind of a mess.
Yeah. And that's such an important part of it.
It's huge.
How did your role change when you guys partnered with 4 Foods Group or Savory?
It was pretty big because at that point I had about 10 different roles I was doing. Yeah. So we were not giving the support we needed to the stores up here. I lived in St. George, so I was back and forth as much as I could. And my kids were, where I had 5 kids and they were all into everything, sports and activities. And so trying to do the best I can in balancing. So they were able just to come in and take on a lot of that heavy lifting. Like I said, I was in charge of marketing back then and operations. There was just a lot that they came in and took off my plate. And Andrew, when we sat down with him the first time, he said, "What do you love to do, Nicole? What do you want to do when this partnership happens, when we can take a bunch of things off your plate?" And I said, "I want to get back to the customers. I want to get back to the root of it all, to the foundation and in the stores with the teams, because I was spread so thin that I missed it. I missed that part of it that was crucial. It's how it all started." And so I said, I want to get back to the customers and make sure our customers are getting what they need in that drive-through line, that experience, that Swig experience. And I want to talk with our teams and get them excited about future growth, and that this is more than just a job. It's more than just a drink. Like, it is an opportunity for leadership and help grow leaders. Now we're kind of like, we have this amazing drink company, but we're also a leadership company. So we have team members who start at 16. It's their first job. And then they become an assistant manager, and then a manager, and then a regional manager. And then we're like, hey, do you want to go into our help with training? And hey, do you want to go open a store in Texas? And that's how you grow, is you grow leaders. And for me to step into that role of being more involved in the stores with the teams, I'm more of like a cheerleader. I go back to my high school days and I'm in there cheering them on, getting them excited. I'm not coming in and saying, okay, you got to do this and this and this better. I got to be the good guy now.
Yeah.
And cheer them on. And that's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I'm like the good parent now.
Got it. Makes sense.
The fun parent, I should say.
Well,
so
good.
yeah, that the role changed as being the face of the company, and also helping our teams to realize what Swig is.
Got it. That's
where we're going.
And yeah, I mean, sounds like that was a role that you were amazing at and fit in really nicely there. And so that's great. And in terms of when Savory came in, what was their vision? Was it like, hey, you're at 16 stores now, we want to grow to X, and here's how to do it? And then kind of maybe walk us through from 16 to 45 where you guys are now.
Yeah. So they're really good with their founders coming in, of not coming in and saying, all right, we're going to change it all.
Yeah.
They know that you've gotten to where you are for a good reason. So it's more of like a collaboration of like, okay, how can we help this brand become even better? And so for us, it was systems in the store that still needed to be refined so we could scale. So technology, they brought in a lot of good technology. They had just partnered with 2 amazing guys or men that now are running the company that had started their own soda shop company down in Arizona called The Soda Shop.
Yes.
And
Chase Wardrop.
Chase and Dylan.
Introduced us. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So they were very gracious, and they thought they were going to grow Soda Shop, right? They partnered with For Foods like a year or so before. And then we happened to sit down with Andrew, and he's like, wait, can we all just become one big family? Yeah. And Swig has 17 locations. Let's just grow that. And Chase had reached out to me years before he started Soda Shop, wanted to franchise. And I wasn't returning anybody's calls on franchise because I was too busy. I was just like, we're not doing it. I don't have time to even get to that yet. So I never returned his phone call. So he's like, fine, Nicole, we're starting our own. We now laugh about it now, but I honestly think it was meant to be, because they really developed some good procedures and technology that we needed when in their 2 Soda Shop stores. And so it really was a perfect combo. And operationally, they were running a great thing. So now Chase and Dylan are super involved. I kind of handed them the reins and said, go. I trusted in them, and they kind of took over a lot of that. But they brought in technology to where when 2020 hit, literally a couple years later, COVID hit, we already had the technology. We had the iPads. We had all the things inside to where we could take orders outside still, keep our team members safe, but we could flow. Essential drive-thrus were essential all of a sudden in 2020.
That's right.
We'd had drive-thrus from the start, but because we'd built up our technology and our systems inside, from just our teams and training, when we partnered with Savory, we didn't have any training videos. We were so still kind of mom pop type of a feel. So we needed to up our game on all of the training, the technology, the systems in place so we can hit the gas and grow. Took us about a year and a half of that until we opened our first store together.
Got it.
But I'm glad we built that groundwork. And that was January 2019, our first store together, all of us. And then COVID hit like 14 months later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good. It sounds like they helped a ton with infrastructure technology to get you guys to 40, 45 stores. And
couldn't have done it without them.
That's great. And I've heard awesome things about Savory Fund and Andrew, and would love to have him here at some point. We'll see if we can get him on at some point.
I'll try to get him on.
That'd be great. So just a few months ago, Larry H. Miller, you guys partnered with Larry H. Miller, which, came out on the news and the media and big announcement. Really sounds like a cool partnership. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, Nicole. Like what was the thought process there? Why partner with Larry H. Miller? And what's the path now?
Yeah. So the goal when partnering with Savory, any restaurant that partners with Savory, is their goal is to scale that brand. That's what every restaurant owner wants. And then get it to about 40 to 50-ish stores.
Okay.
Then you're at a level where another restaurant company or private equity or whatever it is that can then scale it to then the next level, which is, 200 stores or more. So that's just how it works in the restaurant industry, is how it works best.
Sure.
So we had the last couple years, we knew we were getting close. We were at, close to 35 to 40. So we're like, all right, we're getting there. And we have all these stores in the pipeline. And so let's kind of put ourselves out on the market of like, okay, who would like to become our partner? And we met with probably 4 or 5 private equity organizations out of like Chicago and Seattle, New York, Dallas, from all over. It just did not feel right. They didn't understand Swig. In fact, a couple of them were like, do you feel bad that you are serving sugary drinks in your drive-through line? So like, when do you open up? Like 7:30 in the morning? Like what? They didn't grab onto it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to partner with anybody that doesn't feel it, love it, want to be a part of it. Like that's basically like what I said before, where it's just kind of like their money. I want them to have it be like a family partnership of like, we are going to grow this thing. And because you understand it, you get it, you're a customer, you love it.
Yeah.
So we said, no, we just were like, no, we'll wait. And again, be patient. Don't jump at the first offer, wait for the right partner to come around, which is what we've done all along. And Larry H. Miller was the same way. They came to us in the summer of last year. And obviously they're local, so they know the brand. And it just was a perfect fit. They are customers. They go to Swig. They know what we've done, how we've grown. They know that it's female-led, female-founded. 85% of our team members are females.
That's great.
That's not anything that was like purposefully done. It just organically, naturally is. So with Gail Miller being, leading that company, it just fits so well. And because they are so team oriented and family oriented, and they support and love their teams, that's who we are. We don't want somebody that's going to come in and micromanage and change what Swig is. They don't want to change what Swig is. They want to just help where they can and make it better. And then you add the philanthropy to it that Gail does, and now that we're doing, it just honestly was the perfect fit. I can't even describe, like I get teary-eyed thinking about it, how perfect of a fit it was for us. Like it was what we had prayed for and what you worked so hard for. We were finally able to take some chips off the table.
Yeah.
So think back 13 years and you're like, I hope this thing works.
Yep.
And then to have a company like Larry H. Miller come in was just what dreams are made of.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations on that and all the success you guys have had and the success that's coming your way in the future. And yeah, Larry H. Miller is an incredible household name in Utah. I know a few people over there more so on the real estate side, but what they did with the jazz, what they've done with the community, I mean, it sounds like a great fit. So
they're very strategic. They don't invest in just anything. Yeah. So the fact that they chose Swig, and it was a perfect timing for them too. They just, sold out of the jazz and their car dealerships, and like they were ready to invest, but again, they weren't just going to throw money at the wall. Yeah. They were going to invest in something that they believed in as people. Like they wanted to get to know us, and I appreciated that. In fact, I just went to a jazz basketball game with Gail Miller and got to sit courtside. Wow. And that was really cool. And she's the most authentic, genuine, kind soul. Like we just chatted the whole game. That's so it feels really good. It's great to have partners like that.
Good deal.
So,
well,
and then
congrats.
her and I, we really want to like focus on Save the Cups and other things just to give back. We want to give back to the community, give back to women and children, and be a part of that community. So we are way more than just a drink.
Good. And you mentioned Save the Cups, and I mentioned in the intro that you're a breast cancer survivor. So maybe tell us a little bit about that and what's that about? Yeah.
So before I started Swig, it was December 2008. Was prompted by a friend, a couple months before that, to get a mammogram, and I was 37. Yeah. And why would I need a mammogram? I had no history, I had no signs. Right. And after she asked me 3 or 4 more times, I'm like, okay, she's a good friend. So I teased her and said, if you'll stop asking me, I'll go get a mammogram. We didn't have insurance. We were in between jobs. So I was going to have to pay for it out of pocket. But I just had a feeling I should do it. So I listened. And I was questioned by my OB and the radiologist. Why are you getting this mammogram? Just felt like I should. And the day of, it snowed in St. George. It does not snow in St. George every so often. Right. The radiologist called me and said, can we reschedule? I need to drive up to Escalante and it's snowing. And I about said yes. And there's a part of me that said, you just need to go. So I said, if I can be there in 20 minutes, will you wait for me? And she said yes. And so I drove out there and she did the mammogram. Didn't think anything of it. I was in Christmas shopping in town when I got back to St. George, and I got a phone call an hour later and said, we see something suspicious. We need you in tomorrow for an ultrasound. Wow. So go in. They went right to it. I still didn't feel anything. It was very deep. And it was Christmas. Waited 2 weeks to get into a surgeon just to do a biopsy, knowing that something was up. And she did the biopsy, and sure enough, it was a very rare aggressive cancer that doesn't respond to chemotherapy and radiation. So the only way that you get it is you catch it early and you cut it out. Well, if I would have waited till 40, I wouldn't be here. Wow. Swig would not be. Right. And then just all the opportunities that came along with that. So my life was spared. I had over $12,000 of medical bills, though. And I'd heard about a program through Dixie Regional Medical Center where if you qualified, they would pay for some of your bills. And I had 5 kids, again, from the ages of, 14 on down to 4. And I qualified. And I remember to this day sitting in that hospital. And she looks at me and she says, Nicole, can you pay $100? And I was just like crying. And I said, I can totally do that. And I wrote a check right there. That's back when you wrote checks. Sure. So my life was spared. My bills were paid. Started Swig literally almost a year later, less than a year later. And 10 years flash forward, I'm kind of just grinding it out with the business, and winging a prayer, and then that's working. And so you're just like, trying to keep up. And one of my business partners, Dylan, after 2020, it was summer 2020, and we wanted to give back because people were struggling and we wanted to bring some light. And so he said, Nicole, didn't you have breast cancer and weren't your bills paid for? Because I'd share that with him. I didn't share it very much with people. I kept it kind of close. And he said, let's do that. Let's give back like that. So October of 2020 was our first Save the Cups, and we raised $161,000 in 1 month.
That's great.
And then the second year, we ran into some supply chain issues with our tumblers. We raised $130,000. But then this last October, our third year is all, we raised $217,000. So we are over $500,000 earned now, and we pay for women fighting for their lives. They've lost their hair. they're sick, whatever. And we lift that medical weight debt off of their shoulders so that they don't have to worry about it. And our customers rally. It's them doing it. The customers are the ones doing this. And I love it. It's so meant to be. We sell drinks and cups and we're saving cups and lifting loads. So it's so perfect. So good.
Good for you guys. That's such an amazing story from your personal experience to channeling that and doing good. It's good for you guys. That just makes the brand even resonate more with me and with others. And
that's what it's all about, right? When you're blessed, you need to give back and you need to lift a load when you can.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that, Nicole.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. What's next for Swig? I mean, you've closed on this transaction with Larry H. Miller. What do you guys see the next 5 years? It sounds like you're transitioning to franchising potentially.
Yeah. No, we are. So we turned on franchising, and it's still scary to me, but I really believe it's now ready. I think we're ready for it. I know we're ready for it. Are we still going to hit some bumps along the way? Of course we are, because that's how we're going to learn. But I do believe we're now ready for it. So we have turned it on. We are starting with larger companies at first that have franchised before, that have some experience. So we're people need to buy between 7 and 10 stores at once, locations. And then hopefully they'll help us kind of figure out some of those, kinks along the way, to where then we can have a more secure franchise product that we can start really handing them out. But we would love to go into Florida and Tennessee. We get franchise requests, we have for years, from all over the United States.
Yeah.
And so we're going to head into those markets with some of these first franchises and see what we can do. And we'll still open corporate-owned stores. We're still going to be doing both. We're going to do both and really try to spread that Swig love all around. So franchising's happening. Corporate-owned stores are happening. Growing Save the Cups, growing our team. We need a team to do all of this. So we need a large team. We are now building our first, it's almost done, not building. We have our own office now. Nice. That's a large office that we finally need. Again, we didn't need to have this large office if we don't need it. We do not spend money when we don't need it. We wait until it's time and then grow and then build it. So we move into that next month, and that'll be super cool.
Yeah.
To bring franchisees in. And it's very surreal to me to be at this level, but couldn't have done it without amazing partners and customers that love the brand, and just very blessed to have so many people by my side.
That's amazing. Well, I'm sure wherever you guys go, you'll be successful. I could imagine, Swig across the country in Nevada and California.
It's happening.
It's such a good brand. Again, I mean, similar to like Crumble, some of these other Utah groups that have just, when you have a good story, a good brand, it just works. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do.
Thank you. Yeah. I am too. I'm excited to see Swigs dot the world. Honestly, we've gotten franchise requests all over the world.
Yeah, I bet.
Now that's the next step, international, but we'll see. We'll do national first and then maybe international. But I really think everybody deserves a Swig. I think every city, every hometown deserves a Swig. It's supposed to be a part of the community. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
It's that special.
How do you guys think about, you mentioned competition, and that's, one thing I've seen in Utah and other areas, right? You've got Sodalicious, you've got Fizz, you've got these other competitors. How do you keep up with them? How do you view that?
Great question. Because at first, I'm not going to lie, it was hard when the first competition came out. So for several years, people would come in video and take pictures and ask our team members, hey, where do you buy this? And how many cookies do you sell a day? And, all of that, which honestly, that's how we did our research. That's what you do.
Sure.
So, but when they literally, a lot of them copied us to a T. Ugh. I was like, oh, that's like my blood, sweat, and tears. But then I'm like, it's okay. Competition is good for everybody. It really is. Like, it keeps you at the top of your game. Sure. So competition's good. And, but I try not to focus too much about what they're doing, and just focus on what we are doing and do it the very best we can. Because if you're focusing too much on the competition, you're losing sight of who you are. So stay focused on who you are and provide that amazing product, best customer service, see where you're going to go there, see your competition. It's like running a race, right? It's that marathon analogy. You're running a race. You're seeing that they're maybe they're catching up on you a little bit. Okay, well, you see them. Just now press the gas a little bit more and get a little bit further ahead of them. Yeah. I always want Swig to be in the forefront. We're the OG. We should be.
Yeah.
But if we were to focus on the wrong things, like turning around and being like, hey, what are they doing over there? And, oh, I can't believe they're doing that. And blah, blah, blah. No, just see them. It's good for you to see them. And honestly, I think they have helped help us build the market of who we are. People now go, oh, well, it's a drink market. It's the drive-through drink market. So they're helping us. It's great. Right. But again, focus on what built you. What are your values? Stay focused on those and then look forward.
Do you think Utah, and that's great advice. That's great advice. Do you think being in Utah, I mean, obviously you've had success in Texas and these other states.
Oklahoma,
in Oklahoma. What is people in Utah love soda, right? And cookies and all of that. Has there been any learning curve going into, other markets outside of Utah?
Yeah, great question. So I always knew that it wasn't just a Utah thing. I lived in Colorado for many years and we go to Sonic all the time. Sure. And Sonics are big everywhere. Sonic started in Oklahoma. Okay. So they're big in the South. People drink soda everywhere.
True.
Honestly, Pepsi and Coke do their research as far as sales go. Utah is like 35th or 40th in soda consumption. So interesting. It's definitely not just a Utah thing. People drink soda all over. So we went into Oklahoma and Texas. I wanted to really prove it out because I knew that it was. Yeah. I knew that was the case. And sure enough, we just had to explain who we are. They just weren't quite sure what is Swig. Like it's new. And so I'm like, think of like Sonic meets a Dutch Bros, right? We don't serve food like Sonic, but we have great drinks. And we are probably faster than Dutch Bros and maybe just a little bit different feel. And we don't serve quite as many drinks as they do. We try to keep it more simple to where people are coming to us knowing exactly who we are. And it's a fast drive-through. I mean, people compare us to a Chick-fil-A drive-through line speed-wise. I'm like, yes.
That's a good compliment.
We have made it. Yes. So, but that's how I would explain it when we got to Oklahoma and Texas is think of those two meeting. And honestly, those out-of-market stores are at the top of the pack.
Really?
So, that's why we're expanding.
Sure.
We have probably 20, if not more locations coming into the Texas area. We just opened our 4th location in the Oklahoma City area. We have 4 in Dallas with 2 more coming in the next 2 months. Nice. I mean, it's just like the pipeline is heavy in those states because they've done well. We wouldn't be opening in those states if they hadn't done well.
Yeah.
So, and we are more than soda. I want to put that out there because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't drink soda, so I'm not going to go to Swig. I'm like, oh, but you're missing out because we have all these water-based drinks, sparkling water-based drinks. We have energy drinks. We have something for everybody. And I'm going to really touch quick on the sparkling water segment. If I drink anything sparkling, Chase, it's going to be a Diet Coke, right? Like I don't love sparkling. And so when we partnered with Savory and Chase and Dylan came on, they love sparkling water. And they're like, we really need a segment that is just sparkling water and water-based. And I'm like, I love my water from Swig. I get a big 44 every day, plus my founder Diet Coke. Sure. But he's like, no, the sparkling water segment is really starting to take off. This was 2018. And I was like, oh, but will our customers like it? But I'm like, you know what? I trust you. Let's do it. And now I'm so glad our strawberry breeze and our fruit water, they are like top 5 drinks across the board. So I'm so glad that I listened. And now we are way more than just soda. That's one of our top segments are the refreshers is what we call them.
That's what my wife gets every time, the strawberry breeze. Yeah, that's all she gets. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's so true.
It's so true. Yeah. Too many people are like, I don't drink soda. I'm like, you're missing on a lot of good stuff because again, it's more than a drink too. Like you're coming because you feel special in that line. But if you can get a water-based, sugar-free type of an option, it's golden.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think like there's a stigma in Utah and it probably gets blown out of proportion because the LDS culture, people don't drink coffee or alcohol. So everyone just assumes everyone's addicted to sugar. But to your point, like I lived in Lexington, Kentucky. I lived in Texas for a while. It's like people love soda everywhere. And even like Southeast specifically, people love their sweets. They love they love whatever. So you guys that's great. I mean,
when we opened Oklahoma and Texas, We needed more root beer drinks. We needed more Dr. Pepper drinks.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely more of the sugary soda drinks. And I love it. Bring it on.
Yeah.
They're going to get it from us. They're going to get it somewhere else.
Right.
And there's a lot worse things people could be doing. And if it makes them happy, sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Honestly, but we can do sugar-free on so many things and make it as healthy as you want it to be.
Just a couple last questions for you, Nicole. I'm curious, just from a product standpoint and flavors, how did you guys initially come up with your menu, your flavors? I mean, is like a test kitchen? Are you still coming up with new things?
Yeah. I want it to sound super official, like we have a test kitchen. The test kitchen for the first 3 years was my kitchen at home.
Sure. Yeah.
And then in the stores, it's behind those counters in the stores. It's the team members creating that magic. The Strawberry Breeze came from one of our team members at our Trails Crossing location and Daybreak. He was trying to kind of recreate the Starbucks pink drink at Swig. And I went in there one day and he's like, Nicole, I have a drink I want you to try. I'm like, okay, bring it on. And he made it for him. I'm like, are you even kidding me right now? That is amazing. That's better than what Starbucks has. So that's how it goes. They're the mixologists, right? Behind the scenes. They get a free drink every time they work. And so they're the ones mixing different things in and trying things. And we'll come up with one thing that Chase and Dylan brought was changing out our menus every season. And we'd never done that. We just like stuck with the same menu. And now it's like we keep the same base drinks, but every segment, whether it's soda, refreshers, revivers, we put in 2 different drinks for people to try. So we are always kind of creating drinks. Like we brought back Fresca. So in the spring menu, Fresca is going to have its own drink with its own name. We're coming up with a new kids drink that we're going to put on the menu. So you're in the kitchen trying things, it's fun. It's super fun, but it's the team. I'm in there helping somewhat, but it's the team.
Yeah.
They're the ones creating all the magic.
Makes a lot of sense. You got a lot of, young teenagers, creative in there getting free drinks and making it happen. So
I want them to feel like this is their journey too.
Yeah.
This is their stores. I want our managers and our team to feel like it's their stores. Then they'll take care of it. Yeah. And then they'll take care of the customers. So I want them to have ownership and say in that.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Well, last one or two things. So just entrepreneurship in general, you touched on this a little bit, but any advice or one piece of advice for somebody who wants to start a business and is just mustering the courage or just hasn't done it, or, just entrepreneurship in general, what one piece of advice you'd give would be great?
I think I've kind of touched on that already. I think a couple things. Just start. You're not going to have it be perfect before you start. You don't need a business plan. You don't need a business loan. Just start. If you feel like there's a need missing out there that you want to fill, go fill it. Just start. And then don't be afraid to pivot. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Try something. If it doesn't work, you're not married to it. You can change it. So don't be afraid to try new things. And then don't be afraid to pivot if it's not working. And then third, don't get in your own way. So don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of other people's ideas. In fact, bring on other people's ideas, because you can get in your way. And then like this baby, this brand, this business idea that you want to go everywhere or just to grow, might not, because you were in your own way and thought it had to be your way. And it doesn't. In fact, you need other people's ideas to get to where you need to go. That's how you grow, is with other people alongside you. It's not you out there just out in front of everybody. You grow with people beside you. I couldn't have done any of what I've done without my team from the very start. So bring people along with you and don't get in your own way.
I love it. Well, I don't think there's really any better way to end, Nicole. I truly appreciate you making the time to come out and meet with me and do this podcast and tell your story. And again, very excited to see what you guys have done and what you're going to continue to do with the brand. So congrats on everything. And thank you again.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole.